company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Laitram.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Making your way in the world today
Not
takes
Cheers.
everything you've got.
Didn't Cheers just celebrate,
Taking
what,
a break
40 years
from
ago
all
going on the
worries
air, I think,
sure
over the
would help
weekend
a
last
lot.
week? 40 years ago.
Wouldn't you like
Wow.
to get
I tried to think about that stuff when I was a kid, and the old-timers, the adults would say stuff 30, 40 years ago.
Everybody knows your name.
Wow. You know, in the 70s and 80s, 30, 40 years ago, it was like the 30s and 40s.
You want to be where you can see troubles all on the
Youngsters
stage.
today, when you say 30,
You want to
40
be
years ago.
where everybody knows your name. You
It's
want to
amazing
go
when you're a kid, time goes slow. As you get older, time speeds up. Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. There it is, Monday afternoon. Another gorgeous day. It looked like we were going to have about 6, 7, 8 days in a row of this weather. It looks like we're going to have a couple of weeks straight of this weather. Like we're maybe halfway done. This entire week in front of us going into the weekend, more of this, more of what we've had the last week. It doesn't get any better than this. This is California weather each and every day. Waking up in the 60s, might get to 80 degrees, maybe. Low humidity, like 50% or less. Absolutely fantastic weather. Tough to beat. Get outside already. Get outside and enjoy this weather. That's an order. You folks that can pull off gimmicks like heading to the Mississippi Gulf Coast or the Alabama Gulf Coast, the Panhandle of Florida, I recommend doing it. You got a buddy that's got a place? Call him. Be forward. Hey, let's go to your beach place. Let me use your beach place. You can make it to the hunting camp, the fishing blind, down to Grand Isle, wherever, whenever, whatever, down in St. Bernard. Get out and enjoy the outdoors. Really is incredible outside. Just wow weather. Doesn't get much better. Moderate temperatures. I said low humidity. It continues, and it looks like for another week. Absolutely fantastic. I was talking about how time when you're a kid, when you're young, it goes slow, and when you get older, it goes faster. Now, I was just thinking about something over the weekend, the Cheers theme, something else that popped up 30, 40 years ago. When I was a kid, like in the 70s or 80s, if some adult my age in the mid-50s would have said 30, 40 years ago, I would have been thinking, my God, in the 30s and 40s, you know? That's such a long time ago. It would have just been such a black and white. You think about technology that doesn't exist, what cars were being driven, where people live, how they live, what they did. Kids today, when folks around my age say something 30, 40 years ago, they think back to the 70s and 80s, or even 80s and 90s, and it's like us when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s, if you're in my age bracket. Going back to like the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, crazy. Anyway, it's all relative. They stuck a bunch of, I think it was under 30-year-olds, under 30, maybe like under 25, in a room for 15 minutes doing nothing. Just sit there for 15 minutes. They took a group of folks like over 60, maybe over 65. Stuck them in the same room, same deal, same conditions, 15 minutes, nothing going on. Then they went into that room and they asked the young pups, the under 25-year-olds, hey, how long have you been sitting here doing nothing? They were like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 28 minutes, 32 minutes, when it was 15. They asked the folks over 65 how long they had been sitting there, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. I don't know if it even got into like a 10 or 11 minute it's all like below 10 minutes. For the young folks, it was all over 20 minutes. And they had both groups sitting there for 15. So time goes by quick as you get older, it seems, and goes by super slow when you're young. Super slow. Yeah, you right. Monday afternoon. Got a lot to discuss. Brett Martell, another Martell Monday. Brett Martell's been with the Associated Press for over 25 years. He joins us, 5 o'clock power hour. Hey, Lebanon's Cafe, 4 o'clock hour, brought to you by Lebanon's Cafe. Lebanon's Cafe is closed tomorrow. It's the only day of the week they're closed, Tuesday. But they're open right now, and they're open through till 9:30. I like how Lebanon's does it. They open up at 11 a.m. They go till 9:30, Wednesday through Monday night. Only day they're closed tomorrow, Tuesday, but they're open right now, and they'll stay open till 9:30 tonight. That means shish kebab, lamb chops, all your Middle Eastern sides, authentic. And with this ridiculously nice weather, do like I did for lunch. I had lunch outside today. How could I not? Especially where this covered, shaded area was just perfect. It was perfect. Lebanon's Cafe, big green awning, under the oak trees, right on the streetcar line. Outdoor dining. You could go right now. Outdoor dining, Lebanon's Cafe. To-go orders, dine in their air-conditioned dining room. And I always say, you folks in Old Metairie, Old Jefferson, Lebanon's Cafe is less than 5 minutes away from where Causeway intersects River Road. Causeway and River Road, you're at that stoplight, you're less than 5 minutes from Lebanon's. So pretty darn convenient for you Old Metairie, Old Jefferson folks, as well as the Mid-City, Uptown, Carrollton section, Riverbend, University section of Uptown. Convenient for a lot of folks, Lebanon's Cafe. Mike Lindell, former addict who got clean and came up with My Pillow. That's his invention. And making it in America, I think in Minnesota. Became rich, very rich. Bought into the election fraud in the 2020 presidential election with Trump. You know, I know there's partisanship. I get it. I get it. Left and right and left, extreme. I'm a hardcore Republican. I'll never vote Democrat. I'm a hardcore liberal or Democrat. I'll never vote Republican. I get it. I'm not trying to change your mind or any of that. But I think there's fair and objective and looking things open-mindedly. And I think there are things that Republicans do that it's all on them. Democrats had nothing to do with it. There are things Democrats do. It's all on them. Republicans had nothing to do with it. And there's a ton of stuff that, you know, equally complicit. One group does it one day. The other group does it the next month. They criticize the other. There are examples in history, dozens, hundreds you can go back and look at and all of that. But it just, you know, I'm an American. I want the country to do well. I vote a lot of Democrat and a lot of Republican. And I know the Republicans are going, Corey, you vote Democrat. And a lot of you Democrats are going, Corey, you vote Republican, whatever. I've lived this my whole life. I don't care. That's what, you know, it's like when someone hates someone, only the person that hates is aware of it usually. The person they hate either is unaware of it or if they know, don't care. You know, the fact that folks that are conservative think I'm liberal, folks that are liberal think I'm conservative, it doesn't matter. I've worked in television and radio, which is fairly dominated by a more liberal, left-sided slant. And folks think I'm the most conservative person in the building. And then I'll get in front of some of my conservative friends and I'm just lumped into the liberal media group. And I'm talking hardcore folks that are, you know, very political, think they're kind of moderate, middle of the road, low maintenance. They're actually not middle of the road. They're extreme left or right, and they're high maintenance. And they're very opinionated, and they stick that opinion out a lot. But with all of that said, I mean, the 2016 election, I'm not trying to say Trump did something or Clinton did something or Biden did something or Republicans, Democrats, whatever. Not getting into the minutia. But just the 2016 election with social media and manipulation physically by, you know, coming up with all kind of just making the election process harder and folks more skeptical. 2016 blows 2020 away. Any expert, Republican or Democrat, there's too many on each side in 2020 that say it might be the safest election of all time. So the election fraud 2020, folks, I mean, there wasn't election fraud 2016 that stuck. So 2020 is just like an impossibility with the just watchdog groups, the scrutinization. But Mike Lindell, I mean, I think Mike Lindell and the MyPillow thing's genius in the fact that he's a multimillionaire. It worked. Who's to argue with that? But accusing Dominion and Smartmatic of rigging machines and rigging the election, and you're a public person and people listen to you, it's going to cost you tens of millions of dollars for opening your mouth.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, the premier day spa experience, now with 4 area locations. Canal at Carrollton, on the North Shore in Slidell, in Baton Rouge by the Mall of Louisiana, and now in Metairie, West Esplanade at Transcontinental. The Woodhouse Day Spa.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anyway. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City. Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
For home surveillance, it's Tommy's Lock and Alarms. With high-definition night vision surveillance systems, letting you see what's going on. Home surveillance that's smart, safe, secure. Tommy's Lock and Alarms. Google them.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. NolaAC.com, no cool socks. NolaAC.com, no cool socks.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
When you think of Fury's restaurant in Metairie, you think about fresh local fish like flounder, snapper, and speckled trout, fried, broiled, or grilled. Fury's restaurant in Metairie.
Yeah, you right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for finding us. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We bring it every day. We tell it like it is. I know a lot of you know who I am. You're like, I don't know where Corey's been. Didn't know he was still doing a radio TV show. What? Where have you been? Of course. Spread the word. Oh, so fine. 93.9 FM. Oh, so fine. 93.9 FM. We're also on New Orleans' own 107.9 FM. 107.9 FM. We crank it up every weekday afternoon, 4 o'clock. We're prepared. We know what we're talking about, or we're not discussing it. I'm going to bring in guests. I'm going to get help. I didn't know about protons and neutrons. Help me out, scientist. When it comes to New Orleans, when it comes to the political situation in New Orleans, the state, I've got a pretty good pulse on the city. Political-wise, news-wise, you can throw in a little food, music, sports, that type of stuff too. I have a history doing talk radio exclusively. I was never a former disc jockey. I'm not some former politician that wants to try talk radio for a change. Bringing truth to power, you got it right here. Not bringing power to power. You got one guy, he's one of the most powerful politicians in the state right now, today, in the state. A major Jefferson Parish player doing talk radio like he's just some fair, objective talk radio host, or he's one of the most powerful politicians in the state that still runs Jefferson Parish to this day. No, I bring it every day, tell it like it is. I do not befriend the big shots. I don't let the chips fall where they may. You'll never have to ever worry about me holding back because it's a friend or a family member, a buddy of mine. I don't throw political parties after elections for the politicians. You won't see me at the Metairie or New Orleans hotspot restaurants. You might see me there, but I'm by myself with a small group, not by myself, but with a small group of friends that you won't recognize, no big shots. Away in a corner, quiet, doing my own thing, not trying to draw a crowd, not yapping with people you know. No, I avoid the big shots. I'm lucky. Lots of friends, lots of family. I don't have to try to be friends with known people, celebrities, politicians. The opposite, I avoid it. Don't want to befriend those people, don't need those people as friends. I'm blessed, seriously, with a lot of family and friends, good people that I selected as friends and vice versa. Good people, high ethics, integrity, morals, actually work for a living, earn their money, not politically connected, don't have some BS job, aren't some BS politician. No, that's me, and it's refreshing. I don't have to worry about holding back. I don't have to worry about an agenda. I don't have to worry about, oh man, you better not say that. You might lose that advertiser. So be it. I remember when Rush Limbaugh was complaining about groups getting together and boycotting his advertisers. Welcome to the United States of America, and you do very outspoken talk radio. You talk the talk, be prepared to walk the walk, Rush. Rest in peace, but I'm talking about when he was alive. It's pathetic. Largest audience in the history of the medium. He says some crazy stuff. There are repercussions for his crazy stuff. And he's going to whine about it like a little baby that groups got together. I went on ESPN. This is like during Pillgate or Bountygate. So a decade ago, ESPN, literally, if they're calling me, that means they went to about 10 or 12 media members in town, and they all said, we want to have nothing to do with this. I said, I'll have no problem doing it. What's the story? We're talking about Sean Payton and Bountygate. I didn't go on there and just rip the coach, but I did say the coach's cockiness and arrogance, which I love. That's part of the reason that he's a great coach. He's a fierce competitor, but it's also why he got in trouble with Bountygate. Said that on ESPN. It was part of a national story. Had not one but two advertisers complaining. Gonna, basically, I shouldn't say two advertisers complaining, excuse me, calling me to say people called them to complain. So at first I was like, I remember one, I kind of swallowed hard, like, oh gosh, probably going to lose this advertiser maybe. And then they laughed and said, we don't care. They'll be back in a month. Because you're right, Corey. Or even if you're wrong, and I disagree, your opinion's based off of solid information and it's sound. I just disagree with you. But you're not doing something that's agenda-driven. You're not going on the attack just to do it, and you're not kissing butt either. No, it's real easy. I feel bad for folks that, what a nightmare. I remember working down the dial at the Saints station, and Buddy D was there all the time, and he was the great barometer that balanced stuff out when management or sales got too involved in on-air stuff and wanted to sell out, and, hey, we're partners with the Saints, let's be the 12th man, and all this kind of nonsense. Buddy D would just blow that up. I'd watch the bosses just deflate. And then that ridiculous request was over with, and we could move on and do our job. No, there's so many folks in town that, first off, screen phone calls when you call, cutting off people they disagree with, a controlled show. You know, we act like it's America and freedom. This show is America and freedom. I should wrap myself in the American flag like Sean Hannity does, literally. But the difference between my show and like a Sean Hannity show, I don't screen calls, I don't cut people off. And it's wide open. It is America. It is freedom, and we can agree or disagree. If we disagree, fine, bring it. I like letting, I don't have to protect myself like, oh gosh, this caller's getting the better of me. Let's get rid of them. I don't have to protect myself. I like it wide open. The audience is going to decide. One day they might be like, Johnson's right on the money. One day they might be like, boy, Johnson got put in his place. Johnson put that person in his place. Whatever. I let the audience figure it out. They decide. I'm not always right. I'm wrong a lot, right a lot. You decide. You're going to pick and choose. Old Buddy D, bringing him up again, said it best one time to me early in my career and deep into his. La Crosse, Wisconsin, eating lunch at some restaurant, and we're just shooting the you-know-what. It was me, it was Buddy D, and Kenny Wilkerson. And Buddy just said, Corey, it doesn't matter if they're talking good or talking bad about you, just as long as they're talking about you. And I remember thinking, because I was young, like 25, 26, why would you want anyone talking bad about you, buddy? And then about a year or two later, I realized that isn't what Buddy meant at all. He doesn't want anyone talking bad about him either. It's A, beyond his control. They're going to talk good or bad about you. And B, because people are going to agree or disagree with you. And B, he meant as long as they're listening to the program. What was the Howard Stern gimmick? People that love your show, they listen an average of 15 minutes. Why do they listen? To see what he's going to say next. People that hate your show, they listen an average of an hour and a half, like 6 times longer than the people that like the show. Why do they listen? To see what he's going to say next. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon. Real quick, talk radio, probably going back in time. I wouldn't have changed anything, but doing a hardcore right-wing show, that's the popular format. That's easy audience. It attracts the hardcore Republican conservative that feels the left media has left them out. I've got a voice. That's an easy audience. I'm not knocking. I'm saying I could have done that. Or I could have done the Howard Stern type stuff. What's he going to say next? Just reactionary radio. What, how do I top strippers? Okay, strippers that are, this, and how do I top that? And just, you keep getting more outlandish, more crazy. I said I'm not going to do either. I'm not doing TNA radio, and I'm not going to do some hyper right or hyper left political talk because that's not me. Can't fake it. Anyway, we bring it every day. Thanks for finding us. 93.9 FM. Send a message out to your pals and friends. Corey Johnson, 93.9 FM. You got to check out this program. 4 to 6 o'clock weekdays coming out of New Orleans. 107.9 FM. For you folks that take it on the road, maybe going back to Baton Rouge, maybe the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Alabama, Panhandle of Florida, we're on 600 AM. You can listen to the show at 600 AM from like Baton Rouge to the Panhandle of Florida. We're on TV for another hour, 4 to 5:30, every weekday afternoon, 4 to 5:30, all over Louisiana. Cox Channel 4 television in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette. We're on Charter Spectrum Channel 333 television. Slidell, Covington, Mandeville, Cheyenne Country, Yummy, Hammond, Houma, Thibodaux, Opelousas, all over the state on TV. CoreyTalks.com, our website, live streaming there. Plus, you can link up there. Just go to YouTube. Yeah, a few months ago, we got our YouTube channel up and running. You can check out the program on YouTube, live streaming there. Check out the show after the fact on YouTube. Yeah, and click to subscribe, would you? Spread the word. Send the link to somebody else so they can check out the program on YouTube. Lee Zurich, Fox 8, reaching out to basically the last 40 years of mayors. You guys stay at an apartment at the Pontalba building. You guys use that apartment for personal use at the Pontalba. I'll fill you in on that when we come back. Every day we broadcast live from the Buddy Diliberto River City's Total Maintenance Studios. Honest air conditioning experts that come immediately. River City's Total Maintenance. Honest air conditioning and heating experts that come right now. Find them online, nolaac.com.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore led us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Tommy's Lock and Alarms is now hiring service and installation technicians. Great benefits, great pay, take-home vehicle. Apply today. Tommy'sLockandAlarms.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Kanye West was seen shopping at Super Discount Store in Chalmette.
I am Shakespeare in the flesh. Walt Disney, Nike, Google.
Okay, I think Kanye was talking about something else entirely. Super Discount Store on Paris Road in Chalmette.
Enjoy outdoor dining on the streetcar line, under the oak trees, Lebanon's Cafe, the finest in Middle Eastern cuisine, Carrollton at Jeanette, Lebanon's Cafe.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Come to Fausto's Italian Bistro. Age-old Italian recipes like the calamari fritti or spaghetti and meatballs. Lunch Monday to Friday, dinner Monday to Saturday. 530 Vets, a block before Dorignax. Fausto's Italian Bistro.
Yeah, you right. This kind of hit home with me. Always liked the Reveille, the student newspaper at LSU. I remember getting LSU, and some things were just really cool, like the student newspaper. It's like, wow, yeah. Kind of your own zip code, own city, the campus. You didn't have to go far from the campus. It was its own little town. Pretty cool. The Reveille had an opinion piece. We criticize LSU because we love it. I get a lot of grief. Again, I do not care because I know I'm right. I'm right. I feel righteous about it. I know it's the good thing. It has ethics, integrity, and morals injected into it. Fairness, objectivity, love. I'm very critical of LSU because I think athletically we do it as well as you humanly can in the United States of America at the university level. It's hard to beat LSU athletics, from the facilities to the quality of the teams, the quality of the coaches, the quality of the environment, all the necessary things that are there in place to win. Everything's there. If something new pops up, LSU gets it. Constantly remodeling, constantly redoing. I mean, some of the best venues. It's LSU athletics on the college level on a 1 to 10 scale, just the commitment, the facilities, the fans, the winning, the teams, the coaches, the players at an 11 on a 1 to 10. Do some places do it as well? Sure. Do some do it better sometimes? Sure. Is LSU the best sometimes? Yes. As good as it gets. Like, we're doing it first class. We're pulling all the stops. And if something new comes along, we're going to bust our tail to implement that quickly. We might even be the trendsetters like NIL. LSU's pretty cutting edge with how they handle the name, image, likeness thing, this new money opportunity for students. Academically, it is like the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. And it's, it's a problem in Louisiana. We care about hunting and fishing season, 3 for $1 at the bar, Mardi Gras. We don't care about education. Education's boring. We're great at the Friday 5 o'clock to Monday 9 a.m. stuff. The party, the weekend, the festivals were the best in the world. The Monday through Friday 9 to 5 stuff were some of the worst at it in America. We love our LSU Tigers. We love our Saints. We compete. Not New Orleans and Louisiana against, Austin or Nashville or states like Texas or Tennessee. We don't compete. We lose every year. We get routed, and we do not care at all. Don't care. We move on. No one talks about it. We have this false pride based off of a lot of our history, our ancestors, not what we've done. We live in denial. My kid went to LSU. They're doing just fine. I'm class of 91 at LSU. I'm doing just fine. I'd probably be doing better if I went and had an education from Texas or Georgia or Florida or A&M. I could name almost any school outside of Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the SEC, an athletic conference. No, I'm critical for a reason because I'm not a child. I'm an adult, and I see it clearly. But in Louisiana, we have a bunch of adults that want to keep their head in the sand or continue to live like a child, love living in denial. Like I said, Mardi Gras 3 for 1 and hunting and fishing seasons ago, nothing else matters. And LSU's doing just fine. Couldn't tell you where, Coates Hall is, but I know where Tiger Stadium's located. The Reveille had a nice piece today by Benjamin Haynes. We criticize LSU because we love it. LSU President William Tate got himself into trouble when he criticized student media at a Board of Regents budget meeting on September 20th. Quote, every student newspaper article in all the systems, if you pick them up, 95% of the information is negative. The negative instinct is overwhelming in journalism. They cannot help themselves. Professional journalists, parents, LSU professors, and the Reveille editorial board quickly responded to Tate's comments, rightly recognizing the vital role that journalism plays at the national, local, and university levels to help people grasp a clearer picture of reality. 2 days after his comments, the president apologized to the Reveille staff, pledging his unwavering support to the paper as an independent voice in pursuit of truth. Undoubtedly, the public was right to be angered with Tate, just as he was right to apologize. Tate's comments, though, bring up important questions. Why is it that the news seems to be so critical? Why is it that seemingly everywhere we turn, there's yet another negative story featured in the news at the local or national level? There's a cynical answer. Negativity sells. The advertisement-based business model followed by any number of American newspapers, magazines, and television networks force companies to cater to their respective audiences. Why is it, for example, that Jacobin magazine, named after left-wing radical French revolutionaries, almost exclusively featured radical socialist opinions? Or why is it that the Daily Wire, founded by conservative pundits Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, seemed to only run news articles that would interest Republicans and own the libs? Greed, it seems, gets in the way of honesty. According to public perception, however, a lot of this political bias is washed out at the level of local news. According to a 2019 Gallup poll, 53% of U.S. adults think their local media is ideologically just about right. Compare this to the 39% of people who think the same of the national news. And while 42% of people think national media is too liberal and 13% too conservative, only 26% think that their local news is too liberal and 15% too conservative. Another explanation for excessive pessimism is biology. As Tate has cited, there are multiple studies demonstrating humans' natural attraction to the negative. From a young age, people demonstrate a negativity bias that causes them to skew their attention towards the bad rather than the good. In all likelihood, these two factors play a role in any negative coverage that LSU receives. No one is totally without bias, no matter how hard they try, and our biological predispositions certainly play a role in our decision making. But there are two other simpler answers as to why we in the opinions section are often critical of the university administration. First, LSU has a lot of problems, which requires us to find the most important unknown stories and report them. Second, and most positively, we criticize the school because we cherish it and we want to see it thrive, not just for ourselves, but also for those who come after us. We criticize the school because we cherish it and want to see it thrive, not just for ourselves, but also for those who come after us. This sentiment is the essence of responsibility and even love. To be responsible for something is to cherish that thing above one's immediate felt needs. It's to look towards that object's future good. To love something in a similar way is to elevate it above one's own benefit for the sake of the thing itself, independent of potential rewards. All this isn't to make Tate the villain of this story. If there is one, it's the years and years of past negligence by university leaders well before he came to Baton Rouge. It's also not to further pile on the criticism he's received. Rather, it's to highlight that if the Reveille is critical of the university, there are reasons for it, reasons alternative to Tate's own negative interpretations. Columnists criticize LSU to an end I'm sure Tate can appreciate. The improvement of LSU and the realization of its potential. Columnists criticize LSU to an end I'm sure Tate can appreciate. The improvement of LSU and the realization of its potential. No, it's just very well written and right on the money. And that is exactly why I am hypercritical of New Orleans, Louisiana, and LSU, because I cherish it. I love it. I appreciate it. I want to see it hit its maximum. New Orleans, Louisiana, and LSU are all, for you parents on the ACT, 35, 36, excuse me. On the SAT, 1,600. And we get D's and F's and C minuses. New Orleans, Louisiana, and LSU all painfully underperform. We want to sit here and be like critical of LaToya Cantrell, and she deserves it. But a lot of you need to look in the mirror. I'm talking to a friend of mine, a guy I know, the excuse maker, I've told you, just Mr. Excuse. He's talking about someone not paying back a debt on time. He didn't pay back a debt on time. It's like, and he's saying he does. I'm just like blown away by this. I'm like, boy, the hypocrisy of people. No, folks need to look in the mirror. Introspection, not a lot of people's strength. It's not a feel-good exercise, maybe. But it's necessary to be a real man or woman, to be an adult. And being critical of things that I love and cherish that are underperforming, it's required, it's necessary, and it's what I do.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
For over 30 years, one of the premier security companies in New Orleans and South Louisiana has been Tommy's Lock and Alarms. And right now, Tommy's Lock and Alarms is hiring. Come and work for one of the best security companies in the region with great pay, great benefits, and a take-home vehicle. Tommy's Lock and Alarms is hiring, and they're looking for you. To apply for one of these coveted positions, go online to tommyslockandalarms.com. Tommy's Lock and Alarms.
Rouse's Markets means convenience. Every one of our 65 locations opens at 7 a.m., some at 6:30, and they're open until 10 p.m., with some staying open till 11 or even midnight. Convenience. Rouse's Markets. Tastes like home.
Which Metro New Orleans area restaurant made CNN's top 50 in America and ThrillList.com's top 25 and has served presidents at the White House for over 40 years? Trey Yen in Mandeville.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
The city's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa with 4 area locations: New Orleans, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and Metairie. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. NOLA.woodhousespas.com.
If you love Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City, you're going to love Bienvenue in Harahan. The same folks bringing a little of that New Orleans flavor to Hickory Avenue. If you love Katie's, come to Bienvenue on Hickory Avenue in Harahan.
Have a painting project but can't decide on the perfect color? At Helm Paint and Decorating, we offer half-pint paint samples in any Benjamin Moore color for under $5, so you can test potential paint colors before investing in a full gallon.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Recently, Kim Kardashian was seen at Super Discount Store in Chalmette.
Let's party.
Can you think of any other celebrities that won't sue us? Super Discount Store in Chalmette.
Super
the lowest
G.
prices allowed by Louisiana
Super
law
D.
on wine, alcohol, and cold beer. 3235 Paris Road.
Brett Martell's been with the Associated Press for over 25 years. The AP's been around for like 170 years, since like 1850. Very important, the media, the press, the free press, vitally important. I forget which Supreme Court justice said this when the New York Times, the Washington Post were uncovering Watergate and Vietnam information. The government wanted it to be kept private. The government sued those newspapers to keep it private. The Supreme Court ruled against the government. And in the ruling, one of the justices said, in the First Amendment, the founding fathers gave the free press the protection it must have to fulfill its essential role in our democracy. The press was to serve the governed, not the governors. The people, not the elected officials. The press, the media is for us, and it is an essential role in our democracy. Essential role. There's no hand-picking what you like or not. You hate Fox because you think it's conservative, so be it. You've got it figured out. Maybe you have it the whole wrong way. You hate MSNBC because it's liberal. You got it figured out. Or maybe you got it the whole wrong way. Or maybe you got a little of it right, a little of it wrong, whatever. Everyone can judge on their own. No one needs to be protected. I don't have the luxury of just looking at what I want and having an opinion, at least for me. I have to go on the air every day. I have an obligation, a responsibility in front of the camera and the mic to do my homework and do it right and do what I think is a high integrity, ethical, moral-based job of, putting the spotlight on people that aren't doing right, letting the public know, not having any agenda except that. Being righteous. This isn't a conservative show. This isn't a black show. This is one of the more diverse radio television shows in America, Gumbo. A lot of people agree with me a lot of days of all different walks of life, and those same people the next day will disagree because I'm saying something that is against their ideology, agenda, where they think. That's the great thing about America. We don't always agree. In the First Amendment, the Founding Fathers gave the free press the protection it must have to fulfill its essential role in our democracy. The press was to serve the governed, not the governors. No, it's such a brilliant statement from a brilliant Supreme Court justice. No, you folks that knock the media, left media, right media, whatever, the media is freedom of speech, freedom of speech. I like getting a consensus. I read and listen to a lot of different stuff and then figure out what I think the right thing is. I try to follow facts. Go where the facts lead me, not like I'm liberal, let me follow liberal things that prove my point because you'll be able to find them. Or I'm conservative, let me find some folks that'll prove my points. You will be able to find them. But I think they're going to be biased and slanted for you extreme left and extreme right, no matter how right you think you are. And I think I can clearly say this in the United States of America, based off of history and experience, not me, just looking at history, what was. If we go all left or all right, we're in trouble. Look at New Orleans. New Orleans' example is an example of not just liberal, extreme left, like hyper woke, hyper progressive, not a single moderate or middle of the road Democrat, not an independent voice, not even an independent voice. No, I'm not a Democrat. No, I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. Not even that. Like me, I'm an independent. There's not one voice like me. Middle of the road, can see both sides, pick and choose, not one. And there's no conservative or Republican voice. That's sinful. That's criminal. That there isn't any pushback with the council or in the mayor's administration or in city government in New Orleans at all with a Republican or conservative. And I'm not hyping Republicans or conservative as great. I'm just saying all hyper left only, exclusively. That's why New Orleans is broken and doesn't work. Louisiana, it's mostly hyper right. And that's why it's broken and does not work. When there's balance, things work well. Look at Texas. Ann Richards was governor, a female Democrat liberal when the state was taking off like a rocket ship. Now they've shifted to Republican leadership, still taking off like a rocket ship. Democrats weren't responsible for Texas's incredible growth. Republicans weren't responsible for Texas's incredible growth. Both were. Texas liberals would disagree. Texas Republicans would disagree. I'm watching from Louisiana, watching this rocket ship next door while we're floundering. Same thing with the rest of the South. You've got Republican-run states, some Democrat-run states, Republican-run cities, some Democrat-run cities over the last 30, 40, 50 years while the explosion has taken place. No, the problem are the extremes. The problems are one side solves all problems. It's just not true. Too many examples. New Orleans and Louisiana flounder. New Orleans, all hyper-left political leadership. Louisiana, all hyper-right. Now, there's a reason why we flounder. Hey, Fausto's is opening in 2 minutes. They'll go for 4 hours till 9 o'clock. Dinner time, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. I was there earlier today. Kind of a Monday tradition. I'm creature habit. Those red beans and rice are tough to beat. That thin chicken breast, banged out, just thin and flat. Italian seasonings, Italian breadcrumbs, fried, just crispy, but not greasy or oily at all. You could throw that chicken breast like on a paper bag and there wouldn't be like a grease spot. It's just crispy and perfect. Flash fried to perfection. They know what they're doing. Now, I got red beans and rice, the only non-Sicilian or Italian thing on the menu, and that's only on Mondays at lunch. Dinner's starting right now till 9 p.m. Some of the city's best Sicilian and Italian. Wonderful, authentic, tough to beat. Fausto's Italian Bistro. So good. So good. Saints lose to the Vikes in London. Lots of turnovers, lots of penalties. The Saints are 1-3, but they're just one spot out of first place in the South. LSU back in the top 25. Yeah, you're right. Brian Kelly turning it around. Tulane, 41st receiving votes. I love it. Go Green Wave. Roll Green Wave. Pels tomorrow night on TNT. A little exhibition hoops from Chi-Town. 5 o'clock power hours next. Corey Johnson with you on a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous weather Monday. 93.9 FM New Orleans, 107.9 FM New Orleans. Don't move.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
Where can you find shish kebab in New Orleans? Lamb, beef, chicken, shrimp, plus all your other Mediterranean favorites. Lebanon's Cafe on the streetcar line. Lunch, dinner, and shish kebab. Lebanon's Cafe.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, the premier day spa experience, is now more convenient than ever. Now open, the Woodhouse Day Spa, Metairie location, West Esplanade at Transcontinental. Metairie and Kenner's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa.
For home surveillance, it's Tommy's Lock and Alarms. With smart home technology, control lights, locks, cameras, thermostat, and your alarm, all from your phone or laptop. Smart, safe, secure. Tommy's Lock and Alarms. Google them.
When you think of Fury's Restaurant in Metairie, you think about their daily lunch specials like red beans and rice, black-eyed peas, white butter beans, liver and onions. Daily lunch specials. Fury's Restaurant in Metairie.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, let us steer you right. Helm Paint and Supply.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Super discount store in Chalmette.
3235 Paris Road.
The lowest price allowed by Louisiana law on wine, alcohol, and beer.
Worth the drive from anywhere.
If you're throwing a party and need wine, alcohol, and cold beer, super discount store in Chalmette.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
On November 13th, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. That request came from his wife.
Ouch.
Deep down, he knew she was right.
Yep.
But he also knew that someday he would return to her.
Nope.
With nowhere else to go, he appeared at the home of his friend Oscar Madison.
Mistake.
Several years earlier, Madison's wife had thrown him out, requesting that he never return.
Correct.
Can 2 divorced men share an apartment without driving each other crazy?
Not a shot.
This is New Orleans.
2 divorced men can't share an apartment, period. Yeah, you right, Crescent City, 5 o'clock powwow on an absolutely gorgeous Monday afternoon. It doesn't get much better than this. Corey Johnson with you. Incredible weather. We thought we were going to get 5, 6, 7 days of this. We're like halfway through. All of last week was fantastic. And I don't know, according to those meteorologist guys and gals, this week in front of us is off the charts good. 60s, 70s, low humidity, sunshine, no rain. I mean, if there's any problem, it's dry out there. But that's about it. Absolutely fantastic weather. Get outside and enjoy it. I've been dropping the coals, doing some grilling, enjoying that outside weather. You can't enjoy it from inside. Yeah, make an excuse to get outside. Go walk the dog, go do some gardening, go sit in a chair on the porch. Get outside already. Hey, and you folks in the car going home right now? Maybe not on the interstate doing 70, but crack a window, open up that sunroof thing. Yeah, that sunroof thing. Haven't opened that since the Jimmy Carter administration. Bust that thing open. Enjoy the weather. It's that nice. 5 o'clock power hour on a Monday afternoon. Yeah, you right. Thanks so much for joining us. I got to laugh. Brett Martell is going to join us in a few minutes. I don't know what it is about New Orleanians and Louisiana folks where we believe what we want to believe, where we believe what feels good, what makes us happy, not what is true, where the facts blatantly lead us. And I don't mean to bust on the sports media. It's sort of a sickness in New Orleans, especially with Saints and LSU. The sports media, instead of a mentality of let me be a journalist and do my job, it's more of, seriously, okay, I don't want to alienate myself with the team, so let me, work with the team instead of me being a journalist and doing my job. And then I don't want to alienate fans, people reading my stuff or watching my stuff. I want the fans on my side. I want the team on my side. I want the fans on my side. Real journalists do not care if the team or the fans are on their side. I don't want my journalists to be on my side when I'm a Saint or LSU fan. I want the real story, critical or not. I want to be able to go, boy, they're being, too hard on the team, soft, right on the money, whatever. But I want them to go there at least. I don't want to folks that are befriending the team and all that kind of stuff. Before the season started, I'm not saying anything because this team is struggling right now at 1-3. The team could be 3-1 right now, and I'd be saying the same thing. 25 local sports, 25 or 26 local sports media members are polled before the season, pick the Saints record. 25 of the 26, double-digit wins and a playoff team. I mean, just absolutely friggin' unobjective, totally biased, buying into all the hype. I mean, when folks write, man, I was skeptical, but then when I saw him at training camp, it changed my mind. I didn't go to any training camp at all. I watched a little bit of preseason, not all the preseason games. And I've watched 4 regular season games, and nothing has changed in my thinking from a month ago, 6 months ago, whenever. And just this, it's funny. I remember when Jim Mora left the Saints after 10 and a half games and it wasn't working. He was like a villain, like an enemy. He quit. He sold out. You want to know who quit? Sean Payton quit. Not Jim Mora. Jim Mora left when he was ineffective. It wasn't working anymore. He did us a favor. Probably going to have to fire Jim Mora anyway. So I had no problem when I didn't like it. I was hoping Jim Mora could have righted the ship. But when you look at it, you're like, no, Jim Mora knew that 10 and a half years in, it wasn't working anymore. That he didn't have it in him. Also, he needs a GM. The triumvirate of Mora and Bill Kuharich and Jim Miller didn't work. So Mora was ahead of the game a little bit. But Saints fans were ticked off. Sean Payton's quits. No one's mad. I'm just going to say it like it is because this is reality. I love Sean Payton. Love him as a competitor. Love the Super Bowl win. Wish he was still coach of the Saints right now. With all that said, and don't forget I just said that, Sean Payton is as full of you-know-what as anybody, more so than most. Totally full of you-know-what. I mean, Taysom Hill's the next quarterback. The quarterback's in the building. The media buys into that hook, line, and sinker. What a joke. What a joke. When Sean Payton was coach of the Saints, this is why Miami got busted for tampering. Why did Miami get busted for tampering? Trying to get Tom Brady to come to Miami, trying to get Sean Payton to go to Miami. If the Dolphins were like, we'd like to get Sean Payton, and never spoke to Sean Payton's agent, there'd be no tampering. There's only tampering if Sean Payton's side reciprocates in the conversation, and that's exactly what happened. Sean Payton, while coach of the Saints, him and his agent, thumbs up, talk to Miami, see what they want. Sean Payton in the back of his mind, I could go to the Dolphins. If we can figure out a way out of New Orleans to go to Miami, I could go. They'll give the Saints compensation. So while Saints coach, Sean Payton's thinking about being the Dolphins coach. Sean Payton isn't burned out from coaching. Someone doesn't leave the building and the next day is talking about coaching the next year. Sean Payton was burned out on New Orleans for personal reasons, something in his own life that popped up, reared its ugly head, and Sean Payton all of a sudden, quickly, you don't build a multi-million-dollar house in Uptown on Jefferson Avenue at Perrier. Go check it out. It's about a $3-4 million house. Incredible. It's 2 houses in one. You don't build that, go through a tedious process like a year, dumpster out front, all kind of changes and renovations, tweaking it out. And as soon as you move into it, you move out of it and sell it and leave. It was like that quickly. Sean Payton bought that house, was locked and loaded as Saints coach, and something in his personal life popped up, and Sean Payton decided to leave New Orleans. And today there was something about Sean Payton could come back, couldn't he? And some sports writer was like, you never know with Sean Payton. No, we know. Never, ever coming back to coach New Orleans. And is ready to coach again in the NFL, and I would guess he'll be coaching somewhere else next year, which is great for the Saints. Hopefully they get a first or second round draft pick out of the transaction because the coach is under contract for a couple of more years. But this 110% nonsense that the local media pushes, just Sean Payton says it, we print it, and we believe that. Not one op-ed piece with a different opinion, not one. Sean Payton did not leave because he's burned out or needed a break. Sean Payton may have needed a break from New Orleans. That's all. That's all. That's it. Wanted out of New Orleans. I don't know if they're tired of coaching the Saints. I don't think. I kind of know what it is off the air, which isn't really appropriate to mention, but let's just leave it this way. Personal life things in Sean Payton's life made him bail on New Orleans and the Saints. Otherwise, he'd still be here. And the burnout, needed a break. You wouldn't be talking to Miami in the middle of the season if that's the case. No, and if anything, why I say the Jim Mora thing was more of, compassion, man, I'm not getting it done. And Sean Payton was more of the quitter. Drew Brees, the 15-year Hall of Fame quarterback that's never injured, Sean Payton's entire career with the Saints, retires, and then a year later, Payton leaves the Saints? It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Coach a few years and show the team what you can do with another quarterback. Now, I love Sean Payton, wish he was still the coach, but developing quarterbacks never did that in New Orleans, ever. Otherwise, the league would be littered with Sean Payton quarterbacks. There'd be like 2 or 3 starting quarterbacks. Like Nick Saban has coaches all over the SEC and college football. Sean Payton doesn't have one quarterback in the NFL that he developed. None. 0. None. Not a QB on any team anywhere that Sean Payton developed. So that's a farce. It's not some quarterback developer. Quarterbacks on the roster, Taysom Hill, that was the biggest joke in NFL the last 5 years. And the local media bought it hook, line, and sinker. No, and no one wants to tell it like it is about Sean Payton. Do a little research. Figure it out. I don't need the personal information, but don't give me this burnout, tired, needed a break crap. That's for a coach that was burned out, tired, or needed a break. Not one that leaves the building and is already talking about the next gig. Not one that when he was in the building was looking at the Miami gig. They get busted for tampering because it's a 2-way street. Peyton's agent talking to the Dolphins. No, we like to believe what we want to believe, what we hope is true, that makes us feel good, not reality when the facts are right smack dab in front of us.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Super discount store in Chalmette.
3235 Paris Road.
The lowest price allowed by Louisiana law on wine, alcohol, and beer.
Worth the drive from anywhere.
If you're throwing a party and need wine, alcohol, and cold beer, super discount store in Chalmette.
For over 30 years, one of the premier security companies in New Orleans and South Louisiana has been Tommy's Lock and Alarms. And right now, Tommy's Lock and Alarms is hiring. Come and work for one of the best security companies in the region with great pay, great benefits, and a take-home vehicle. Tommy's Lock and Alarms is hiring, and they're looking for you. To apply for one of these coveted positions, go online to tommyslockandalarms.com. Tommy's Lock and Alarms.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Come to Fausto's Italian Bistro. Age-old Italian recipes like the calamari fritti or spaghetti and meatballs. Lunch Monday to Friday, dinner Monday to Saturday. 530 Vets, a block before Dorignax. Fausto's Italian Bistro.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you on a Monday afternoon. 5 o'clock powwow. Absolutely gorgeous day. Brett Martell joins us from the Associated Press. Another Martell Monday. What's happening, Brett?
Hey, Corey. How are you?
Doing well. Yourself?
Busy, but good. Yep. Had nice weather for the drive up to Baton Rouge and back today.
Nice.
Not too much traffic, although I saw a traffic jam on the other side of the interstate as I was coming back. So
Let me get
going on.
Let me get my rant out of the way, Brett. You missed it before we just pulled you up on the air. I think Sean Payton's just really full of you know what. I think Saints fans were mad when Jim Mora left 10 games into that 94 season. They called him a quitter. They were mad. I don't see any Saints fans at all mad at Sean Payton. And I think he quit on this team. He had a quarterback that was healthy the entire time and never was injured. And pretty much the day he retires, Payton quits. There's no post-Breeze era and Payton developing a QB. And maybe that's part of the problem, Brett. 15 years in the NFL, not one single quarterback developed. Not one. You think it'd be like Saban. There'd be like 3 or 4 NFL starting quarterbacks that the Saints drafted, they cultivated, and then a team plucked them away. There's no Garoppolo. There's no heir apparent. So there's no quarterback development. 9-8 playoff record. 1-2 in NFC title games. Leaves the team in a lurch, sells the city and the media on the quarterbacks in the building, this Taysom Hill joke. It's a joke. You might as well tell me Taysom Hill's going to go pitch in Major League Baseball, next year. And I think in New Orleans and Louisiana, one of our problems, we believe what we want to believe, what we like to believe. We live off of the 2009 Super Bowl from 13 years ago, a generation ago, practically. I love Sean Payton, Brett. I wish he was still coach. I think he's a fierce competitor and a winner. But I think Sean Payton's one of the biggest BS artists there is. And I'll end it with this. When he was coach of the Saints, he was talking with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins wouldn't be busted for, talking to Brady and Peyton if there wasn't a reciprocation. Peyton telling his agent, yes, talk to the Dolphins. So burnout, needed a break. I think a major personal thing plopped into Sean Payton's life. He had just finished building a multi-million-dollar house in Uptown. As soon as he moves in, he's leaving and selling it and quitting the Saints out of nowhere. I don't need to know the personal story. I don't need to know what's going on in his life. I don't care. But I love Sean Payton. Wish he was still the coach. But he's as full of it as anyone, if not more than most. And he left because he was done with New Orleans for whatever reasons, and nothing to do with burnout or needed a break. That's my take, Brett. You can run with it however you like.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I think you can definitely, you have supporting arguments for every point you made. I don't know, at NAP, I'm not really supposed to have that kind of take, so it's to kind of remain neutral in my job. But I'll say that, clearly there was a good synergy between Peyton and Breeze, and there isn't really any evidence of Peyton being a quarterback guru beyond some of the really, really prolific seasons he had with the quarterback who was already established in the league by the time he came to New Orleans, and a quarterback who was obviously very, very committed to winning and preparing. And so, who knows what Peyton could have done if he had stayed longer without Breeze.
That would have been so much fun, seeing what he would do with another quarterback that is a starter. Doesn't have to be the best like Breeze. No, it would have been nice. I just that's just kind of a bummer. It would have been nice to see Peyton. So I guess there's one side of me as a fan that's upset, like he didn't stick around and sort of finish the job. But as an on-air person, the burnout or wanted out, needed a break, that is 110% nonsense. He had a break. He sat out during Bounty Gate one season just a few years ago. I mean, you think of Coach Peyton's age that had to be forced to sit out just a few years later saying, I need a break? I mean, none of it adds up. None of it. But,
it had been almost a decade since he sat out. But, no, I know what you're saying. I mean, he was here, 2006 to 2021. That's still a long time. That's a span of 16 seasons in which he missed one.
No doubt.
So it's just hard to call a coach a quitter after more than 10 years. But it isn't I don't think you're out of bounds to say that the reasons he gave for leaving appear to you to be disingenuous.
Yeah, I think. And let's end it with this, Brett. Again, love Sean Payton. Wish he was the coach. Underachieved a little bit. A couple of flaws that are out there. I mean, I mentioned the 9-8 playoff record. That's 500-ish. 1-2 in NFC title games. Just one Hallis Trophy. But I think Sean Payton not getting to another Super Bowl. Maybe winning another Super Bowl. You could argue even maybe 2 Super Bowls. I think, and some defenses that were absolutely atrocious that cost the Saints wins and maybe some of those trophies, just no focus on defense. I think clearly over that time, I mean, again, I wish he was the coach still, but a little overrated, even in New Orleans, a little overrated. I don't think anyone says Nick Saban at LSU was overrated. I don't think anyone says Les Miles was overrated. But I think a little overrated. I think slight underachievement by what they had. I mean, that 11 team was better than the 09 team. That 13 team was pretty damn good. That 18 team was pretty damn good. I think those are disappointing seasons. But anyway, Brett, I'm being hypercritical. It's easy to great era, loved it, most prolific offense, Breeze and Peyton. But there's more to it than that, I think.
Well, I will say this. The Saints should have gone to 3 Super Bowls during the Peyton era. And the 2 times they didn't go, it's hard to blame the coach for like 3 first-quarter turnovers in San Francisco that really put them in a hole that they nearly came out of. And it's hard to blame the coach for the no call against the Rams. But, it's just, yeah, but I see what you're saying. What Peyton was great at, though, was keeping the Saints relevant during that entire time. That equals making money and being able to sign interesting players in free agency, you know, being a player in free agency. And they were competitive and relevant the whole time. He just, you know, he couldn't get over the hump more than once. And the best coaches in history, the Hall of Fame coaches we think of, like the Chuck Knowles and the Belichick's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but probably will be. But even Parcells' mentor won twice.
Yep.
Right.
Tom Coughlin won twice with the Giants.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah.
Tomlin's got a few in Pittsburgh. But I will say this, Brett, cutthroat competitor, just, you know, a fierce competitor, cutting edge offense, you know, wants to desperately win. And something that Sean Payton brought to the Saints, like you said, the attention, the winning. He had that swagger too, Brett, that I think you had to like. And I think that was the envy of a lot of fans around the league, wishing their kind of plain Jane, boring coach had that sort of arrogance, cockiness, and swagger that Sean Payton possessed, and most of the time to his benefit, not his detriment.
Right. I mean, remember that time, it didn't work out for him, but in that Minnesota Miracle loss, remember when the Saints took a late lead in that game, he clapped over his head kind of mockingly at the crowd, like, because they had been doing that Icelandic clap.
Yeah.
he did crazy stuff like that. You know, he would yell at players from the other team sometimes when they were near him on the sidelines, you know, and yell at his own players, and yell at the officials, and yeah, I mean, he was unhinged sometimes on the sideline, but it was interesting. He was compelling.
No, totally. But like if it was the Viking coach that made fun of Houdat, and then the Saints come back and win, we would be relentless. We forget very quickly that Peyton did that, and then it backfired on him. You know, it's like, you know, the karma thing or whatever. No, Brett, I mean, people are going to listen to this and be like, Corey doesn't like Sean Payton as an axe to grind with Peyton, whatever. No, I don't. It's just, it gets nauseating, and it's kind of a New Orleans and Louisiana problem where we just overhype the positive and don't look at any of the negative or be critical of it. It's like LSU, you know, academically, terrible or mediocre at best. Athletically, as good as it gets. And we just overlook the academics are mediocre. I don't. I don't have that luxury of doing it. But anyway, I like Sean Payton. People can read it however they want. I don't really care. But I just think it's glaring, just the, you know, and the media buys into it, Brett. It's like the 25 out of 26 media members pick the Saints to have double-digit wins and be a playoff team. You know, it just we even the media, we want to believe it. We hope it's true. I mean, one media member said, thought they were going to be sort of mediocre, but then training camp, it changed my mind. I'm like, really? Training camp changed your mind? I watched preseason games and regular season games. Nothing changed my mind. But anyway.
Well, yeah, training camp is, I'm afraid it's really overrated and overhyped.
Please.
And I've covered every Saints training camp since 2005. And
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes.
Hang on a second. A break's coming in real quick. Hold that thought.
It's
We're
one
coming
of the
right back.
finest
Brett
eyewear
Martell's
shops in the
with us.
country,
Don't move.
right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
At Home Paint and Decorating, our paints are in it for the long haul. In fact, our top Benchmore exterior paints come with a lifetime warranty. Not 25 years, not 50 years, we mean forever. You heard right. At Helm Paint, our top exterior paints have a lifetime warranty against chipping, peeling, and flaking. They also are mildew resistant. Imagine painting your home one time and being done with it. Visit any one of our locations today and make that once-in-a-lifetime purchase. Paint that has a lifetime warranty. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
When you think of Fury's restaurant in Metairie, you think about the freshest local seafood anywhere. Shrimp, oysters, speckled trout, flounder, snapper, soft shells, crawfish. Fury's restaurant in Metairie.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, the premier day spa experience, is now more convenient than ever. Now open, the Woodhouse Day Spa, Metairie location, West Esplanade at Transcontinental. Metairie and Kenner's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
For home surveillance, it's Tommy's Lock and Alarms. With high-definition night vision surveillance systems, letting you see what's going on. Home surveillance that's smart, safe, secure. Tommy's Lock and Alarms. Google them.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
If you love Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City, you're going to love Bienvenue in Harahan. The same folks bringing a little of that New Orleans flavor to Hickory Avenue. If you love Katie's, come to Bienvenue on Hickory Avenue in Harahan.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Gorgeous weather day on a Monday. Brett Martell's with us. Another Martell Monday. Hey, why aren't you at Katie's right now, New Orleans? What a great way to wind down the week. What a great way to wind down the week on a Monday. Katie's, the quintessential New Orleans restaurant, full of New Orleans Yaddy characters each and every day. Great New Orleans food, large portions, great for sharing. It's a mid-city mainstay. It's Katie's. And you folks out in Harahan, don't forget the Katie's of Harahan, right there in the curve on Hickory Avenue. Bienvenue. Bienvenue, the Katie's of Harahan and Katie's in Mid-City. Brett, I didn't mean to cut you off. That break train came down the tracks, and it'll take your arms and legs right off your body if we don't get out of the way. But please continue.
Yeah, so training camp, I think I've learned, can be good for individual stories. You can kind of see the potential of various players in training camp. You know, the ones that stand out to me were, Pierre Thomas breaking through as an undrafted free agent, Deontay Harris getting better, Marcus Colston as a 7th rounder. These guys that, in their early training camps kind of, Chris Ivory, no one knew what to expect of him. And you see the potential of these guys that turn out to have meaningful roles in the Saints. And I think training camp is great for that. But as far as a predictor of how the season is going to go, there's so much evolution that goes on over the course of the season with lineups, player availability because of a variety of things, mostly health. When you play, who you play, and what condition they're in and how they're doing at that time. Just so many factors that can go into derailing or saving a season or a losing streak or a winning streak that you just can't possibly foresee in training camp. And so, that's why I think training camp tends to be overhyped and overrated in terms of, a predictor of team fortunes. I mean, Alvin Kamara looked fantastic during training camp and healthy. And then, he gets hurt in the first game of the season and he hasn't been the same through the first 4 weeks, and hardly contributed anything. So, Mike Thomas was missing during a lot of training camp because he had his groin injury, but then he comes out in the fourth quarter of the first game of the season and he's phenomenal and he's pretty good in the next couple of games, but now he's got his toe thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, and none of this is like, there was no predictor of any of this stuff in training camp. So anyway, that's my take on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Brett Martell's with us with the Associated Press. Brett, with all the Saints struggles, I mean, a lot of self-inflicted wounds. If the Saints didn't have the turnovers, and some are their own fault, some are the other team forcing turnovers. I mean, it's not just the Saints giving up the ball. It's the other team forcing turnovers. It's a combo. If the Saints would protect the football a little bit better, and the penalties are killing the New Orleans Saints. They've had a history of that even under Peyton. Lots of penalties. They just overcame it with Breeze often. It's hurting this team. And it's a new coaching, head coach. I didn't want to say coaching staff, but a new head coach, some new coaches on the staff. You didn't have your starting quarterback, your starting running back, your starting wide receiver. The running back and wide receiver are, Pro Bowlers, all pro type of players. With all that said, Saints are one game back of first place in the division, Brett. It's very early in the season. You correct the turnovers and the penalties, and the Saints probably win more games than they lose down the stretch.
I think if you go back to the 2001 season, and I have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure the Patriots started 1-3, with that third loss coming when Drew Bledsoe got hurt, knocked out of the game, and then they had to put in that backup Tom Brady, and they went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So now it's not the same circumstance. You can't compare any team to like getting Tom Brady in the lineup, but in retrospect. But still, the thing is, though, sometimes teams don't start out so great. And we've talked about this before, that when the year the Giants derailed the unbeaten Patriots in the Super Bowl, they looked like they were going nowhere in midseason and had to rally big time at the end of the regular season just to make the playoffs.
They were like 9-8 or 9-7 or something, weren't they?
Right.
8-8, 9-7.
Yeah. And they had to rally just to make it in, to sneak in as a wild card, and then they upset everybody all the way to the Super Bowl championship. So, in terms of looking at 1-3 and saying it's over, it's not over. You have veteran.
Tampa's 2-2. Atlanta leads the division at 2-2. I mean, come on, it's a joke.
Right.
It's wide open.
Right. It's wide open. So, yes, you're right. They lead the league in turnovers with 11. And they have their turnover differential is -7. I mean,
they got to be near the top in penalties too.
And and so look, penalties and turnovers have been difficult. They haven't had the best of luck with the health of their preeminent skill players, like we mentioned before. So, look, this is an evolution of this thing. I would say that the defense overall, I mean, we talk about the change in coaching staff,
carrying the team.
The defense,
yep,
and the defense overall is good. I mean, they gave up. They're third in the league in red zone defense, which means you can hit, you can get them for yards. But yesterday, the Vikings got in the red zone 5 times. One of those, I think, was set up by a turnover. They only got in the end zone twice. And if you go back and look at other previous games, they've been pretty stingy overall in terms of keeping teams out of the end zone. A lot of these touchdowns that have been scored against the Saints have been off of turnovers, right?
Yeah. Hey, Brett, real quick about the penalties. There's been some stories written. I give them credit doing lots of research. The Saints penalized a lot, more so than other teams. Other teams against the Saints aren't as penalized. I think I hate to say it, especially in New Orleans, Louisiana, all this kind of stuff does is give folks controversy, that gives Saints fans a reason to think like the league's against them. A couple of things. I would say out of 1,000 applications, the NFL refs might make one mistake. It is a fast game, a physical game. I don't even see what's going on, and these refs are making these calls. So can we argue, should they be full-time and all that kind of stuff? Sure, but I think they're very professional. I think they do as good a job as any officiators in any sport anywhere. And lastly, I do not think for a single minute, consciously or unconsciously, the NFL and referees are together collaborating to screw the Saints, call more penalties on the Saints, less on the opposition. I think it's total nonsense. There's no controversy. There's no NFL deal. You want to know what it is? This Saints team under Peyton and now under Allen, there's something that someone smarter than me, above my pay grade, some analysts could figure out that they fundamentally do wrong year in, year out, that leads to them getting penalized a lot. I don't know if it's a, cutting edge offense. I don't know if it's a risk-taking defense. I don't know. Like I said, it's over my pay grade, but I guarantee you it is more of the Saints and what they do than the NFL having some conspiracy to screw the Saints with penalties.
Yeah, it's a situation where I think you maybe it's just that they wear black, and it's subconscious, right? Black's associated.
I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Change uniform call. I have no idea, but it's not a conspiracy, and it's not the league's out to get. Look at the Saints. Don't look at the league. Look at the team. They're the ones that are having the penalty problems. It's crazy. I can't help it. They're the most penalized, and teams don't get penalized against them. Put it on the Saints. The referees aren't out for, hey, this year we're after small market New Orleans. Next year we go after Buffalo. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Based off of nothing.
And the Saints have benefited from a lot of calls too. It's just that the ones, look, every now and then they make a really crucial call and in a pivotal point in the game, and it seems to change the momentum in the game. And sometimes those go against your team, and I think that fans who are emotionally invested in the outcome are more inclined to remember vividly the time that the moments in which their sense of fairness was offended, right? And that's every team's fans remembers those.
No, and I don't know about you. I don't like seeing it go the other way. I don't see like the team I'm rooting for. I don't like them getting some big, unless they're getting screwed the whole time, it seemed like, by bad calls, and then one goes their way, that's fine. But I don't want to see the other team get a bad call and the team you're rooting for benefits. Hey, Brett, LSU is 25th in the latest AP poll.
Right, and that kind of seems like gravy right now for Brian Kelly in his very first season. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they might have been a missed extra point kick away from 5-0. And, as you've seen, Florida State, who finally lost their first game last week, Florida State is improved. So they lost their opener, the very first game under a new coach with a whole new roster and a new coaching staff. They lost by, 1 point to a team that's actually pretty good again.
Yep, top 25.
And then they've won every other game since then. When they've played the pushovers, they've pushed them over and they've stomped them, right, to the tune of more than 30 points basically in each game. And when they've played in the SEC, including on the road, they have fallen behind by multiple scores, but they've been able to bounce back and escape with a victory. And actually, they won going away against Mississippi State. That was dominant in the end.
Yep.
So they come in now. Who knows if they'll stay in the top 25? And they got a home day with number 8 Tennessee, which is a really much improved team and a really dangerous team with that quarterback they've got.
Tennessee gets a nice advantage, an 11 a.m. kickoff at Tiger Stadium. That's when you want to play, if you got to play in Baton Rouge at 11 a.m. if you're the opposition.
In a way you do, but, that western sideline, I guess both sidelines are going to be really hot at that time of day. The sun's going to be straight over your head. It's going to be hot. I know it's hot in Tennessee, just like it is in Louisiana. But
we're having a nice week weather-wise. And slightly lower humidity. Hey, Brett, hang on a second. Let me knock out this final break. We'll come back and talk more about 25th ranked LSU in the AP and Tulane's 41st. getting votes in the
For
end.
game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
For home surveillance, it's Tommy's Lock and Alarm. With smart home technology, control lights, locks, cameras, thermostat, and your alarm, all from your phone or laptop. Smart, safe, secure. Tommy's Lock and Alarms. Google them.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Super discount store in Chalmette.
3235 Paris
The
Road.
lowest price allowed by Louisiana law on wine, alcohol, and beer.
Worth the drive from anywhere.
If you're throwing a party and need wine, alcohol, and cold beer, super discount store in Chalmette.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
At Helm Paint, we go the extra mile with free delivery anywhere in the metro area. In the middle of a job and short on paint? Call us and we'll come to you.
Short on time? Call in your order and pick it up in the drive-thru at our Earhart Boulevard location.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Which Metro New Orleans area restaurant made CNN's top 50 in America and ThrillList.com's top 25 and has served presidents at the White House for over 40 years? Trey Yen in Mandeville.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
The city's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa with 4 area locations: New Orleans, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and Metairie. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. NOLA.woodhousespas.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
The global manufacturing giant Latrim is hiring. Have you been to Latrim's website? An incredible company. They invented the shrimp peeling machine. They invented the all-plastic modular conveyor belt. New Orleans born, bred, and based. Still that way. And it is a international giant on every continent. They're hiring at their Elmwood facility right under the UEP Long Bridge, convenient for you East Bankers and West Bankers. And they're hiring at their Hammond facility on I-12 on the North Shore. for a full listing of positions available. And it's not 2 or 3 job openings. It's dozens and dozens and dozens of job openings right now. A job, a career for you. Go to Latram.com. Latram spelled L-A-I-T-R-A-M, Latram.com. Brett Martell's with us on this gorgeous Monday weather day. Doesn't get any better than this weather-wise. Get outside and enjoy it. Brett Martell's been with the Associated Press for over 25 years. Hey, Brett, how can folks check out your columns? How can they check out the AP?
Sure. On a smartphone, you can get the AP News app, which is free and gives you news from all over the world, not just sports. And you can put your zip code in, and it'll give you stuff in your area, which sports-wise tends to be stuff that I worked on. But it could also be some of our other writers in the region. And on the laptop, it's apnews.com. But also on Twitter, at Brett Martell, I try to post links to most of my articles there. And, I don't know, it's the AP is supplementary news service that's disseminated around the world to news outlets that, can't have their own people everywhere. So,
hey, Brett, I think you said it kind of right. It is a little gravy for LSU. 4-1, 5 games in the top 25 again. Highly anticipated Tennessee game, a top 10 Tennessee team undefeated. That's at Tiger Stadium Saturday morning. Brian Kelly's a little ahead of the curve, I would say. Getting it done with a lot of true freshmen playing. That just really bodes well, Brett, because that team was an emotional mess. And that team, compared to the last 20 years, Saban, Miles, the first few years of Ogeron, this team probably has half the high-end talent. We're used to seeing 8, 10, 12, 15 players that are just great. And right now it might be 6 or 8. And then some emerging players. So I think just the overall attitude, the logical, thinking over emotional thinking, kind of covering every base. The players sense that and have confidence instead of, does coach have everything covered? I think with Ogeron, there were lots of question marks with players. I think Coach Kelly's a little ahead of the curve. I mean, if you're a Tiger fan, you got to be pretty happy with how things have turned around and where they're going right now.
Yeah. Now, Kelly warned today. I was up in Baton Rouge for his Monday availability, and he did warn that, although he's proud of the heart and the fight that his team has showed coming back in some of these games, particularly against Mississippi State and at Auburn, he said that heart and fight alone won't be enough against some of these teams they're about to play.
Yep.
Starting with Tennessee, number 8 this weekend. And then, they're going to go to Florida. That's a game they can probably win. But then they have to, but it's tough to play in the swamp.
Of course. And Florida's trying to turn it around. So they're going to be tough.
Yeah. And then, but then they have to play Ole Miss and Alabama after that. So, yeah, some tough games, at least 3 really tough games.
But it's exactly why he came to the SEC, too.
Yeah, exactly. So, he wants his team to keep ascending and become increasingly competitive and disciplined, as they get into this month of October and early November, which is going to be, some big tests. But, it's kind of looking like the Florida, if you look at the schedule, the remaining schedule, the Florida game looks winnable. The Texas A&M game kind of looks winnable. They'll have another non-conference game, I believe, in November. And so...
the Alabama game's a loss. All the other games that LSU has a shot to win them all. They could lose to A&M, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and maybe even Florida. And they could also beat those 4 teams. So if they can get out of those five opponents, like 3-2, that's a pretty good run, Brett. Alabama's a loss. If you can go 3-1 in those other 4, that's huge success, I would say.
Right, that would be big. And then if they win the other non-conference game, they finish the regular season with 8 victories and have a chance to go for 9 in a bowl game. And that's a solid first year.
Yep.
For what Brian Kelly looked at as a wholesale major top to bottom.
Yeah, as a totally broken, dysfunctional team that was, 500-ish the last 2 years. So, no, Kelly's turned it around. It's pretty impressive. Saturday morning against Tennessee, biggest game of the year so far. How about Tulane, 41st in the AP, Brett?
Well, and it really, I went to the game against Southern Miss that they lost at Hillman Stadium. And that is a head scratcher, that was.
But Southern Miss is 4-0 also right now.
Sorry?
Southern Miss, I think, is undefeated right now.
The Southern Miss has a couple losses.
Oh, they do?
Also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
But, I think Southern Miss came in at 1-2 against.
Oh, no, you're right. I'm thinking of somebody else. My bad.
But they weren't a bad team. And Will Hall, they had a good fit. They had a really good turnout of their own fans at Hillman Stadium. That's not a long drive, obviously, from Hattiesburg. And Will Hall was the former Tulane offensive coordinator just a couple of years ago. Has a good feel for that stadium and Tulane and Willie Fritz.
The K-State win, the Southern Miss loss, it kind of evens them out. I think 4-1, that's where they're supposed to be right now. And the nice win over K-State, I think, benefits them more than the loss to Southern Miss as far as the bowl guys at the end of the year. They just got to keep it rolling.
Well, yeah, because now you look at how K-State has played since they lost to Tulane, and they've taken it out on everybody else.
Yeah, no, exactly. They just whooped up on Oklahoma last week, and they won over the weekend. No, you're right.
Yeah, so that looks like a great win. And Houston is struggling a little bit, but let's face it. Tulane hadn't won there since 2014. They have a third-string quarterback.
That was an amazing victory right down at the end when they really had a bad second half. Brett, we're heading to the top of the hour. We'll visit next week. I'm sure you're going to the Pels, or not going to the Pels, but check out the Pels tomorrow night on TNT. Always a pleasure, Brett. Thank you.
Take care, Corey.
That's Brett Martell from the Associated Press. Real reporters, real reports. 93.9 FM New Orleans. Mañana.